Trust the process. Hello there, welcome back to the June May channel. My name is Paula Jean, and super quick, because I really want to get into this pattern, I am wearing a sweater that I rescued from my husband's giveaway pile. I did a whole bunch of alterations to it. I have a video on my channel about it. I will leave that link down below. You could watch that at your leisure. Now, let's get into this beauty. This is the new Lenne top pattern by Lore Piar. I got to be a tester for this pattern, and we were actually quite a large group of testers for this pattern. And I can tell you by seeing it on so many different sizes and shapes of bodies that it looks fabulous on everyone. By far, the most used adjective for this top in the testing group was elevated basic, so much so that it should probably be the subtitle of the pattern. But it really is the perfect term for this. So let me dive into the features. This is an asymmetrical knit top, and the asymmetricality comes from these beautiful gathers on the right shoulder that come all the way up to the neckline. And then there's this lovely self-finished neckline that comes across the neck, and then it ends in this really cool, like kind of smaller finish on the left shoulder. Now, the reason that I started this with trust the process is because the way that all of the facings on the neck, if you're doing the sleeved versions, or on the sleeveless version, if you're doing that, there's this kind of folding over that when you're first reading the instructions, it can look like it's confusing, but if you just trust it and do it, then it unfolds with everything being kind of magically finished, and you don't have to do any kind of ribbing or anything like that on it. And it's actually really, really cool. And once you do it and get it, you'll want to make yourself like 7 of these in a weekend. So you can add to the asymmetricality of this top depending on your sleeve configuration. So you can do 2 sleeves like I have done on this version. You can do sleeveless, which is its own kind of cool finishing method. And you can also do a single sleeved version. And on any of the sleeves, you can make them whatever length that you want. In the instructions, I believe if you're doing a single sleeved version that it's on the gathered side, but you can actually do a sleeve on either side. I did that when I was testing it, and it works for both sides. Now, Lore is a very size-inclusive designer. She's got 2 different blocks that she uses, so she's got 2 different sizing groups, Group A and Group B, but you get all of the sizes with the pattern. And I think the bust sizes go up to 63 inches. I think the waist goes up to about 58, and the hips, I believe, go up to 74 inches. I'll put the size charts in here for you. But yes, a very inclusive size range, which is great. The fit of this is highly dependent on the kind of knit fabric you use. I believe the recommended stretch percentage is about 40%. And if you use something that's significantly more than that, then you're going to get a little bit of a looser fit. And obviously, by contrast, if you use something on the lower end of the stretch percentage scale, you're going to get something a little bit more body conscious. When I made my first muslin, I used a lightweight rib knit fabric that had over 50% stretch. And I knew that it was a higher stretch percentage than I was going to use for my final, but even so, I felt like it was a little bit big. I was between 2 sizes, so I cut the larger one, but the shoulder was a little bit off for me, so I ended up sizing down, and then I did a full bust adjustment. The instructions for that are included. I was super appreciative of that because with an asymmetrical pattern, I had no clue where to begin to do a full bust adjustment, but it's actually super simple, and yeah, like I said, really appreciated that she put those in there. And then the only other adjustment that I made was a sway back adjustment, which is totally normal for me, and I made it a little bit shorter. My fabric choice was this beautiful printed stretch mesh. I know I got this on Etsy, but I don't remember where. I got it a while ago, and I got the last 1 yard piece of it. So my sleeves ended up being 3/4 length, which I'm quite happy with. And then for the bodice part, I lined it with this tissue weight black bamboo jersey that I had a little chunk of. At first I was kind of upset because I knew that I had somewhere a piece of comparable jersey that was in a color that was close to my skin tone, and I thought that could have looked really cool. So I was very mad that I couldn't find it. I guess I've used it or lost it or whatever. But I actually really like how the black turned out. I like the contrast of the sheer sleeve and the little bit darker effect that the darker lining gives it. I finished my sleeves with a lettuce hem that I did by changing the feed differential on my serger. So I did that on the sleeves and on each of the hems of the bodice and the lining independently. Also, when I cut this out, I treated the jersey and the stretch mesh as one fabric. So I used a spray baste to put the two fabrics together, cut them out as one fabric, sewed them together as one fabric, and that worked great. Also in the instructions, Lore includes a guide of how to turn this into a dress. And in her dress hack version, obviously you lengthen it, but she also has instructions for ruching on both of the side seams at different points in the dress, so that gathered asymmetrical theme continues down. Now, I was super inspired by this pattern and I wanted to make myself a dress out of it, and I did something a little bit different. So I'm gonna take you on that little journey. So here's my little rough sketch of the top. And my thinking is that I'm going to use the skirt part of the Sophia Sweetheart dress from Stay Stitch Pattern Company. This is what I made my green ribbed knit dress out of, and I quite love the fit of it. So I figured I could use that to just extend this down to about like maybe a midi length or something. And then instead of this straight across thing, I think I want to do like a line like this. So that would be the seam line there, and then have another line here. And I want to turn this into a pocket. So the pocket would be inside, not on top of the dress, but the pocket would be like that. And I've actually done kind of a little mock-up of what the pattern would look like here. So if this is the pattern piece here, this would be the back of the pocket. And I have two options of how I can approach this. I can either do all one piece, where this would be the fold line and it's an attached pocket facing. I can put something to stabilize that fold line a little bit there, and then that would go over like that. And this goes like this. And there we have the piece here. The other option is for me to detach this pocket facing, put some seam allowance on. I think that's probably what I'm going to do, because I will likely want to use a lighter weight pocket facing fabric to have less bulk on this seam line. So I'll probably do that there, but either way, that will be kind of how that looks. And then I was thinking of maybe doing an asymmetrical hemline, but I know that I don't have a tendency to wear those when I've had them in my wardrobe before. But I have this little line indication here, because I think what I would wear is just a little cutout. And if I echoed that, maybe a little bit smaller, but if I echoed that in the back and have that kind of as a replacement for a slit along the side there, that would then kind of echo those angles that I have going elsewhere in the garment. And I think I would like that. I think that's how I'm going to move forward. So I'm starting with a traced out version of the pattern that I cut at the waist, and then I attached it to this long piece of paper. I have taken the Sophia Sweetheart skirt line and traced that down here. You'll notice that it looks a little bit different here than it does on this side. That's because this pattern piece on the front is a little bit skewed, because there's this gathering that happens in the final top. So I'll probably have to make some adjustments to that in the final, but that's fine for now. And when I did my measuring on my top as I was wearing it, I didn't account for the vertical stretch. So when I transferred those measurements that I took onto here, it looked really weird because they were actually quite low. So I'm just kind of going by eye, and you can see by the whiteout on this paper that I originally got my angles wrong, but I have corrected that. So I'm just starting a little bit below the waist, and I angled it in a way that I thought looked intentional, but also functional. This would be the pocket. I'm going to do this same thing on the back piece with this angle, and then I'm going to cut that out and try it on, because before I do any of the finalizing of the pocket here or adding any seam allowances, I want to make sure that the length of this is right. I have a feeling that this line might have to move up a little bit, so I just want to confirm that this is all okay, or make those adjustments if I need to before I waste time and energy and effort on the skirt, not to mention fabric. So that is the next step. Okay, this is not going to be the best picture or sound quality because my husband is using the other camera, but I'm just using my phone here. I think I'm super happy with this. I really like this angle. I've just basted together the side seams using my water-soluble thread, which is one of my secret weapons, especially when I'm working with knits, because we all hate unpicking stitches from knits. So water-soluble thread is my best friend. I decided not to do an angled back. I decided I'm just gonna keep that clean. I like this tail action going here, but I am gonna finish it. And yeah, I don't think I need to raise this up at all. I think like with my pocket here, that means it's gonna be here, and I think this is gonna work out great. I'm happy with my pleats. I don't know if you can see that there. Probably should have moved them a little closer to the shoulder, but I'm not gonna undo that now. Yeah, this is actually kind of better than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, we'll see when I get the rest of it done, but yeah, it's gonna be, you know, kind of a bodycon dress, but that's what I'm going for here. So, oh yeah, super excited. Yay. So just an overview of what I've done here. I have slashed that pocket away from the skirt piece. I've added 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all along here. I have traced off what is going to be the pocket facing here. And then behind here, I have the back of the pocket. So just like the tiny version, that's how that is all gonna fit together. And you'll notice I've taken care, because this is an asymmetrical design, to mark on every pattern piece what side up the pattern piece needs to be, with the right side of the fabric up as well, in order to have everything correspond properly. I am calling this my little black power dress. I am so thrilled with how this turned out. I feel so strong and sexy and confident in it. I feel like there are so many occasions and places that I can wear it to. The fabric that I used was a rayon ponte that I got from Fabric Wholesale Direct. Now, they have the most beautiful ponte for such a reasonable price. I will leave it linked down below. My fear is that they may have stopped manufacturing it because they have been sold out of several colors for quite a long time. So I'm hoping that's not the case. In case it is, I'm also going to leave linked Whitney's newest video, Whitney from Tomcat Stitchery. She recently did a video all about Ponte, the different kinds of Ponte, different patterns that you can use for Ponte, and it's a really great resource. So I will leave that link down below because in her description box, she has other resources for that fabric. As you can see, elevated basic is a really well-earned term for this pattern. I'm actually excited to make a couple of more hacks. Lore has actually done a couple herself that she's done little mini tutorials on her Instagram page. And so I encourage you to go check those out and to check out the pattern if you've been inspired by this video. So next up, I have a couple of fall fabrics that I got from a gift certificate from my beautiful sister, and I'll be sharing that with you in the coming weeks. And in the meantime, enjoy your October, happy sewing, and I will see you next time.